What is up, people? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Blastoff. Obviously, for me, this is going to be the third of the 5 of the Combaticons to form the almighty Bruticus. And when it comes to Bruticus, obviously everyone is really looking forward to Bruticus, as I've mentioned in the Vortex and the Brawl review, because when you're looking at Bruticus, it's got some similarities to the obvious other combiners that we've gotten thus far, but at the same time, the way that they're doing it, he's really shaping up to be really the most very, put together unique combiner. And what I really like that I think I mentioned this in the Brawl review, but essentially what I really like is that what we've seen with those Combaticons is they look very individually different. When it came to Menasor and it came to Superior, and we'll see this, there was a lot of remolding and retooling of the molds that we got with those characters to form those combiners. And so for now here, when we're taking a look at Blastoff, looking at Vortex, looking at Brawl, and even finally looking at Swindle and Onslaught, looks like each mold is going to be very unique, and that's really refreshing to see. So when it comes to Blastoff here, obviously he is going to be a space shuttle, and this is a character that I was looking forward to getting because I was looking forward to it due to how many people were talking about how solid he was. He was just a really solid figure. So taking a look at the box here, you can see the Transformers, Age of the Primes, the Combaticon Blastoff right there. Obviously it's technically 2 out of 5 because I think him and Brawl technically come in the same wave, but for me I got Brawl before I got Blastoff, so I've reviewed Brawl before I got Blastoff. And then we have the more nice artwork here of the Primes, and then you have some more nice artwork here of Bruticus himself. Not as he appeared in the show, but again, just artwork of Bruticus, excuse me. And then finally, your obligatory product shots on the back. When it comes to Blastoff, looks really, really solid, transforms in 17 steps. So, when it comes to the packaging, I think that's really it. I think they do a really good job with it, as per usual. And so, folks, without further ado, alrighty, folks, and here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Blastoff out of the box and in his Space Shuttle mode. And guys, I gotta say, he looks really, really good, especially when you compare him to his on-screen counterpart, which I'll put a picture up right now of. I think they did a really good job. Obviously, he has this really odd color scheme. I don't think most people would expect to see a Space Shuttle in brown, purple, and dark gray. They expected to see in what we've seen with most Space Shuttles, where it's basically white and gray, and that's all it is. But of course, being a Decepticon and being a military vehicle based combiner, they ended up having to do something like this. And so when we take a look at Blastoff here, look at all the details. They did a really good job of representing how he appeared on screen. Again, he's this sort of mainly dark brown with a little bit of purple and obviously this dark gray sprinkled in between. But again, this is how he appeared. And what's nice is because all the Decepticon logos are pretty bright colored. I mean, you can see the top one on the cockpit here, and then you can obviously see little Decepticon logos here on the wings. They're very prevalent, and you can see them very nicely. So there's no it's not like with the previous Earthrise Thundercracker, it was kind of hard to see the Decepticon symbols. No, they're pretty good here. And what I really like about this that you can sort of see all around, very clean. There's nothing that's really obtrusive whatsoever. Even on the bottom, there's really no robot kibble that's super obvious or anything like that. I'm sure you can see that here. So really, really just clean, very nice. And what this makes me want, I know this is sort of off topic, but this really makes me want a Studio Series 86 Astro Train, because Astro Train was a prevalent character in the 86 movie where he transported the Decepticons and stuff like that. It would be nice to see that Siege mold get a refresh, because at the end of the day, I still think that that's a good mold, but absolutely the worst mode out of them was definitely the Space Shuttle mode. It had that very awkward looking back that wasn't, it looked like the inside of what would have been underneath all of this, if this was actually Astro Train. So seeing this makes me really want a Studio Series 86 Astro Train as a commander. Would be nice to see him get that level of engineering that he kind of deserved. But you can see the nice jet boosters here. Obviously there's more here, but these are actually his feet, but they still blend in really nicely. You can see they're nicely painted purple in there. You can see these have nice molded in detail across, when you see that little circle there. Also the weapons, they soar under here. Right on the wings are 5mm pegs here. You can technically put him here, or you can actually put him here, which will become his hands if you wish to do so. I don't know if you want to do something like that, but I think that looks kind of weird. But at the end of the day, it's really nice, and they're very simple. Taking a look at them, very nicely molded in that same brown plastic that we see him basically in entirely, but it's okay. They're nothing crazy, but when you look at the show, this is what he had, so I can't really complain about it. And so overall, when it comes to the Space Shuttle mode, I think that they did a really, really solid job with representing what we got in the original 80s cartoon. So there's nothing really to complain about there. What we're going to do, set this guy off to the side, and we are going to be doing some size comparisons. Alrighty folks, here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, he is an average deluxe size, but he's a little bit bigger. Not by a lot, but he's a little bit bigger, ever so slightly, and you'll see that with Vortex if you watched my Brawl review, which technically actually comes out today because that's when I'm actually recording this video. But if you watch the Brawl review, you'll see that he is a little bit bigger than Vortex overall, just a little bit by height as well as a bit of width and stuff like that. And so overall, when it comes to the size, I have no major complaints here. He is still that nice deluxe size and close to an average one at that. Alrighty folks, here he is with the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Vortex. As you can see, like I told you, he's just a little bit larger. The other thing too that I did mention about Blastoff is the plastic feels really good. All the joints feel tight enough to where that they're tight, but they're not so tight to where it feels like you're forcing them. That's one thing I'll tell you about this. It feels really good plastic-wise. He feels really dense. But looking at the size here, like I told you, he does look ever so slightly bigger than Vortex. Especially, I think it's mainly due to the fact that when you're looking at Vortex 2, that whole back section for the back of the helicopter rotor definitely leaves a lot of plastic out that is absolutely on Blastoff, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, I have no major complaints either with Vortex or with Blastoff. I think they look really good together. And then obviously here you have him with the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Brawl. As you can see, Brawl is not longer than Blastoff, but at the end of the day, he has this density and this chunkiness to him that definitely feels bigger than Blastoff. And obviously in his robot mode, he is absolutely bigger than Blastoff. But at the end of the day, these two still look great together. Like I told you in the last review, no major complaints with the size of Blastoff or how these two look together. Really shaping up again to be the best set of combiner, or best set of figures for a combiner that we've seen thus far. And I'll explain more of that when we actually do the Bruticus review, because I think my point will still stand by that point when Bruticus fully releases. But at the end of the day, yeah, looks really, really good, and I'm very, very excited to get the rest of these Combaticons. And obviously, like I told you before, and I did this before, here is the entire family photo that we currently have with Blastoff, Brawl, as well as Vortex, and they all look really great together. Again, what I really like so far is that we're really getting unique molds. Obviously, there's a little bit of shared engineering both between Blastoff and Vortex, but it's really nothing to note about that's super crazy or anything that would, make me mad about it. So at the end of the day, these three look great together. Onslaught's the next one. Obviously, he's going to be the frame because he's the commander, and he's obviously the leader of the Combaticons as well. And I'm also really excited to get Swindle. We haven't seen too much on Swindle. We've only seen his limb mode, realistically. But at the end of the day, given what we saw with the limb mode, it's very optimistic looking towards his Jeep mode and then obviously his robot mode. So I'm very, very excited to get the rest of these guys and finally have my very first Bruticus. Really, really cool stuff. Alrighty, folks, time to get into the transformation. And this is one of those cases where Blastoff's transformation is incredibly simple, like very, very simple. But it's one of those situations, too, where I know that people would like more intuitive engineering, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things where do you need it to be complicated if it results in the same thing anyway? Like, sure, could have there been improvements? Yes, there's one area in particular I think that they could have improved in when it comes to his robot mode. But at the end of the day, the rest of his robot mode is pretty spot on despite such a simple transformation. So it's one of those things where do you need it to be complicated to really make that crowd happy, or can we just make it simple, get him a good robot mode, get good articulation without having to be super complicated? There's no reason to have it complicated for the sake of being complicated. So at the end of the day, despite its simplicity, I'm not mad about it. So the first thing I like to do here, fold the wing down like this, and then what you can do, you can remove the guns. You don't have to, but you can remove them. Fold the wings up. Then to do the legs is very simple. Pull these bits out, very similar to Vortex, then accordion this whole section, then kind of tab this into the back, and then you'll see those two little tabs on his knees will tab into those little tab holes there in the inside of this area. You just got to do that. Split the legs and then fold the toes, and that's literally his legs. Then for his upper body, it's also pretty simple. We're going to zoom back out, and then we're going to lift up. You can see Brawl there on the side. I didn't move him too far off the screen, but this part's pretty simple. So to do his upper body, you just split this down the middle. Oh, sorry. You come down here. You fold this out and you split this down the middle. You rotate this all the way around. And then what you'll see is that there is sort of a tab slot right there, and then this entire slot right here. You just tab these in like so. You can extend the arms out like so. Then here, this is the hardest part about the transformation in my opinion. Getting his head out is tough because the joint's tight, but there we go. Okay. Fold the head out like this. Then you can take this section and then fold this back, and this will just nicely tab into place right here on the back. And then here for the rest of the transformation, just rotate the arm down, then rotate the hand around. Take the arm down and rotate the hand around like so. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Blastoff in his robot mode. And guys, I gotta say, they did a smash-up job, because when you put, what we're going to do is we're going to set this guy off to the side, and we're going to put the actual picture of Blastoff as he appeared in the cartoon here on the right. And you gotta say, this is really amazing. I mean, it really, again, I'm sorry, I know I've been repeating this in reviews recently with a lot of these figures, but it really does look like you just ripped him right off the screen. I said this in my Thundercracker review, I'm going to say this now in my Blastoff review. He just looks really good, and like I told you, it's one of those things where does the transformation really need to be complicated when you get him with robot mode like this? Again, it doesn't need to in my opinion, so I'm okay with the simplistic transformation. So really, really good stuff. I mean, he just looks fantastic. All of the colors are really spot on. Sure, it could probably be a bit of a lighter brown, but I don't really care. I think the brown is accurate enough. And so when we take a look at the details here, head sculpt is so cool. I've always found Blastoff's head sculpt to be probably one of the most unique out of the Combaticons and stuff like that. I don't know, just the way that they did it to me is always very interesting, right? You got that nice purple sort of little dot on the top of his head, his nice silver eyes and the silver face mask and the brown and the dark gray. Just looks solid all around. Nice Decepticon logo, nice molded in detail, and I assume that these little tab holes are the locking points because he is Bruticus's right arm, if I'm not mistaken. And then when you come down here to the arms, this is the only part of the robot mode that does bother me. I do wish that there was maybe some way that they could have folded this, because his arms are really just his cockpit, just split it down the middle. And even though they don't look in particularly terrible, it's just I wish there was a little more definition. But like particularly here, I mean, you can see the fist, right? But because this doesn't fold away, this part of the nose, it just kind of looks like there's no definition for his hands in particular. And so I do wish that they were able to do something to just give him a little more definition in his arms rather than just making it look like the front of the ship. But at the end of the day, it's not bad. It's just that's the only area of this robot mode that really irks me. There's one other area, but it's not even that bad because he feels so solid. Nice detail here in the crotch and the legs are pretty accurate because his feet were just the jet boosters anyway. It's this part here. It's obviously there's a little bit of hollowness, but because of this part, it does help cover that up. And that's why I said it's really not all that bad. Just a little bit of hollowness, but again, it's really not that bad overall. And then he cleans up really, really well. I mean, there's nothing here. And then what you can do with the guns, you can't put them in his hands, but you have 5mm ports here where these screws are, and you can actually just peg them on sort of like forearm cannons, and I like that a lot better. They're pegged in there a lot better, and in addition to that, they look better in my opinion. So overall, you can obviously also peg them on the legs as well. You can also peg them in the hands too, but for the most part, I have no major complaints here. I really do like this robot mode. It represents the character amazingly. The details are really nice, and so yeah, I'm very, very happy with the product we got here with Blastoff. He looks fantastic. So what we're going to do is we are going to be doing our size comparison. So we are going to set Blastoff off to the side here, and I think that should be big enough for the other characters to fit. Alrighty folks, here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. Like I said, if you look closely, you can see that Blastoff here is a little bit taller. He's a little bit bigger than an average Deluxe, a little bit taller than like your average like Carbot, like, you know, like Smokescreen or Blue Streak or even Sunstreaker and Sideswipe. So at the end of the day, really solid size. I have no major complaints because most of the Decepticons were much larger than the Autobots anyway. Alrighty, folks, here he is with Vortex, and like I also said, you can see that here he is, he's a little bit taller than Vortex as a whole. So not by much, but he certainly has a little bit more heft and bulk to him, but it's not crazy, right? And then finally, just like Vortex, here he is with the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Brawl. As you can see, Brawl is obviously going to be the biggest one so far, which makes sense. He's a tank. But really, you can feel the weight of Brawl in comparison to Blastoff as well as Vortex. So at the end of the day, it's really the weight and the engineering that makes Brawl a Voyager rather than the actual, size of him. But him being still the biggest of the three definitely makes sense to me. I assume that Onslaught will be the biggest of the three, which makes the most sense to me. And then Swindle will probably be about Brawl's height, if not the same. So at the end of the day, I have no major complaints with the size here. It works for me. And just like I did before, here is all three of them together. Again, current family photo, and they look great together. Again, really, really excited to eventually get Onslaught, which is going to be next, and Swindle last. Really, really hyped to get a full-on, my first Bruticus ever. So, very, very cool. Alrighty, folks, and now it's time to get into his articulation, which is pretty solid. Nothing really to complain about here. Head's on a ball joint, so you can do a full 360, a little bit of up and down, nothing too crazy, a little bit of wiggle waggle too. Arms full 360, out in, 90 degree at the elbow. You have rotation at the wrist because of how he transforms. Full waist articulation, which is absolutely fantastic. Then you can kick forward, you can kick back, 90 degrees at the, a little less than 90 technically, but about 90. Rotation of the upper part of the thigh, then some nice ankle rocker pivot. Despite how his feet are shaped, by the way, you can actually get this guy into some really nice poses. So overall, when it comes to the articulation for blast off, there's nothing really crazy to complain about here. Alrighty, folks, and now time to get into the reverse transformation. And obviously, his reverse transformation is very, very simple. So, all you have to do, come down here to the legs, and we're just going to tab them together. Then you can take the arms, and you can remove the guns from them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come here. We're going to rotate the arms like this, and just rotate the fists like that. Just set them like this for now. You don't need to set them alongside the actual body for now. You can rotate that. Take the head, push that down, fold this out. Fold this guy down, then you can untab the arms, fold them like this, rotate them all the way around like this, do the same thing here, like so. Fold all this in, tab it all together, then you can fold this down, tab that into place. Then very simply for the legs, fold the toes up, fold both of these bits out. Then you can accordion this entire section, put that in, fold these back down, fold both of these down as well. Fold the winglet up. And then from here, you can tab the guns back into place. Like this. And well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you straighten everything out. Here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Blastoff. Back in this really nice space shuttle mode. And so guys, for my final concluding thoughts on the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Blastoff, for the third of the Combaticons that I've received, it's another 3 out of 3 for me. They're doing a really good job with these characters, and I really like this so far because each of these characters have felt individually unique. They don't feel there's no repaint, remold, retool of these characters from one character to another so far. And obviously, they only have one more chance with them, more or less, with Swindle, but I don't think that they would really be sharing that much engineering between, like, Brawl as a tank and Swindle as a Jeep. I don't think that there would be that much shared engineering between them. But regardless, regarding Blastoff, let's get into the negatives. The only negatives that I would say, his legs are a teeny bit hollow, but honestly, not all that bad. And I do wish that his arms were a little more, like, filled out specifically for his fists, like there was more definition for them. But other than that, the good. Vehicle mode looks really fantastic. It's super clean. Weapon mode storage is very nice, and there's really no robot cable to show that really, is very apparent, even when you're looking underneath the actual shuttle itself, and it represents the on-screen vehicle mode very nicely. Transformation, despite being very simple, is not needed to be complicated. It's unnecessary. And because of that, you get a really simple transformation that's fun to do, and you get a really, really good-looking robot mode that, again, represents the character that we saw on screen extremely well. Sure, the brown could have been a bit lighter overall, but they got all the details right. The Decepticon logo is very nice to see, very easy to see because of the contrast between the very bright colors and the very dark colors for the rest of the body. So that's really nice. In addition to that, he is not inhibited at all in his articulation, despite the weird shape of his feet. He's got nice ankle rocker joints, got full 360 at the waist. He's got really nice articulation in his arms, and his head's very nicely articulated as well. And so you can get this guy into some really nice poses. And so overall, I'm going to give this guy like a 9 or a 10. Honestly, I don't really see anything crazy wrong with this guy. The reason I'm kind of going to inch towards more a 9 is because when it comes to this guy, he's not amazing, right? He's not like blow my socks off type of character. But at the end of the day, they just did a really amazing job with him. Really solid release. No major complaints. And so I can highly recommend you pick this guy up, even if you're not looking to collect all the Combaticons, because he's just a fun figure to play around with. So I did pick mine up IRL this time. So definitely be on the lookout at your local grocery stores, Walmart's, Targets here in the US, and any other grocery stores in your country. But again, I will leave the usual suspect links in the description below. So Big Bad Toy Store, Hasbro Pulse, as well as Amazon, so you guys can go and use those retailers to buy this guy online instead of actually waiting for this guy at your local retailers. But if you do decide to hunt IRL, I definitely wish you the best of luck in doing so. And so that's really it for the review. So I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. Also follow me on the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, and once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.